Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. First, I'd like to give out a shout out to Bequant Group for supporting this. Bequant is a global digital assets capital markets firm. Their products and services include low latency spot exchange trading, prime brokerage, margin financing, cross collateral management, custody, fund administration services, and OTC trading. For more on the Bequant Group, go to bequant.pro. Again, that's bequant.pro. They're a market leader in the capital market space in crypto. If you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the show. Welcome, folks, and thanks for joining us for another episode. Really cool to have a special person on today. We have Steve Ehrlich, the CEO of Invest Voyager, one of the killer apps dominating the crypto market right now. I'm here alongside my co-host, Ryan Gorman. And Steve, thank you very much for taking the time out to be with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Looking forward to spending some time with you guys, talking markets, Bitcoin, everything and anything you have. Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Awesome. Yeah, and it looks like you're all set too. I mean, you're in the crypto bunker or something there, huh?
Well, my wife sticks me in the basement. I've got my corner in the basement while I'm quarantined. Got all my Ranger gear behind me, so I feel pretty good.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, before we get into some of the exciting stuff that's happening, in the markets and with Voyager and everything, give us a little bit of a background on yourself and how that transformed into Voyager, you being in crypto today. I mean, you have a really, really awesome story behind you.
Well, thanks for that. I appreciate those kind words. As I like to say, I'm the gray hair in the room when it comes to crypto. I've been in the capital markets for 26 years now. So since 1994, but started in public accounting, spent 7 years in public accounting, I have an accounting degree, but got into the capital markets in 1994 with a firm called TIR Securities. And we were just an institutional agency, soft dollar, global brokerage. We sold it to E-Trade in 99.
Oh.
And at that point, that's how I got involved in the online brokerage space. And we became the brokerage personnel around in E-Trade. When it was really a marketing machine, we became all the guys that were actually putting the infrastructure in place to actually be one of the largest, if not the largest online brokerage at the time. From there, I actually bought a unit out of E-Trade and renamed it Lightspeed Financial. It was E-Trade Professional. And we became the third largest online broker catering to active traders, professional traders. We built a completely homegrown direct access trading system. I think we did about 450,000 trades a day in 2008 and 2009, quite large. And then I stepped away from that in 2013. It was time to move on and try something different, and kind of spent a little time at home, sold off a piece of my stake back to our private equity investors, and then moved on to learn a little bit more about API brokerage. Spent some time with a small firm doing that. Then got together with my colleagues, my co-founders I got introduced to, Gaspar Dedruzzi, Philip Aton, and probably most notably, Oscar Salazar, who is the founding CTO of Uber. And we kind of looked at the marketplace in crypto, and we each brought different assets to the table. Oscar's brilliant when it comes to product and how to disrupt markets. And Gaspard and Philip were just serial entrepreneurs that knew how to find product market fit and build product. And I had the capital markets background. And we said, let's build something that we think consumers want, and we built this agency broker called Voyager.
And you guys have had, it sounds like dominating success. So headline after headline after headline. You guys have really penetrated the retail crypto trading side of things. And not only that, I mean, you guys are almost at the forefront with, a couple of the other big players as key adoption apps, because the way you make it so easy to use, to buy and sell, to hodl, to trade. I mean, it's really one of those things where the layperson is learning to be a Bitcoiner or to invest in crypto for the first time just through easy use. one of the big things that happened over the course of, let's say, the last 6 months is your Circle acquisitions. Now, from what we garnered from the news, it sounded like two separate transactions that happened with you guys. As we all know, you go back 18, 24 months, Circle, behemoth of a OTC trading desk. Everybody looked up to them, and still do for stable coins and stuff. How did you see that opportunity? What were your thoughts that kind of were the genesis of that? And what has that resulted in Voyager expanding or growing even more?
Yeah, well, they're a great brand name. And look, they were one of the OGs effectively of agency and crypto brokerage, right? Their OTC desk was the biggest at that, when it started out a couple of years ago. And we saw that they had sold that to Kraken. We sold the sale of Poloniex, and we knew folks over at Circle. So my co-founder Gaspard and I reached out and started the conversation. And lo and behold, did we know that they were interested in selling the Circle Invest part of the business, or not necessarily selling it, but working with a partner like ourselves, where we would take over that part of the business, and they'd become equity shareholders of Voyager. And as a public company, that was exciting for us to have an investor in Circle to go along with guys like Jump Capital and Susquehanna and Streamline Ventures as three of our bigger. We were so happy about that. And we looked at it and said, it's an interesting asset in getting those customers to move over. We think our product is well fit for them. We could bring some more things to the product that Circle was delivering, like interest on coins that Circle didn't have, crypto deposits and withdrawals, which Circle didn't have. And so it was a marriage, very, very good marriage. Both companies really liked the idea of putting this together because we thought the sum of the parts would bring more value to consumers and then build a stock price and a real company off of all that. So it came together really quick. And what really got us excited about that is that they were making that decision to go really deep into stablecoin. And I think their USDC stablecoin is starting to get massive adoption. They're using all sorts of rails to be able to use it for payment across the globe. And considering we had just come off the acquisition of Ethos and the wallet and picking up 150,000 global users, we felt like bringing the Circle customers on board and then using the APIs for the USDC coin would help us bring a better product globally. And so we're excited. We're starting to work towards building to their API and using that as payment mechanisms to what we now have over 200,000 reach across the globe. And we got those customers. We announced that deal, I think, in February. We converted most of those customers by the end of March. We're still awaiting our New York State BIT license, so we couldn't bring those guys over yet, but we're working towards that. And so it's been great. I mean, I think the customers have been excited. We're bringing more product to them. And our business just keeps growing now because we're getting more engagement from those customers. So it was a marriage that worked well for both parties.
That's great. And, another thing that brought a lot of attention to you guys earlier this year was when your trading app went live, one outlet calling it the name your price tool of crypto trading. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that differs from some of the other competitors you have out there?
Yeah, we set out to really build the easiest to use agency brokerage mobile app. And we do that, delivering the iOS and the Android. And the iOS came first in July, the Android came in November. And we have a few key differentiators for ourselves. One, we offer interest on probably 10 or 12 coins, maybe a little bit more. We announced 4 or 5 more that are coming May 1st with more interest.
You just added XRP, right?
Yeah, we added XRP, and that was one of the ones the customers really wanted. We're working towards adding that as a deposit and withdrawal coin. So you could bring some in and move it out. But right now you have to buy through us and you can hold and earn interest starting May 1st. You could buy it right now, but May 1st you get interest. So I think we're going to be up maybe 13, 14 coins for interest. Customers love that feature. Also, we have crypto deposits and withdrawals, which is a differentiator versus some of the other competitors in the space who really just look at crypto as an offshoot to their equity business. Yep. And it's just here, go trade it. We're not really a crypto company, but we'll let you trade it. So those are big. Plus we have 34 coins now, and we're going to look to expand that. Easy on off ramps, fiat on and off ramps. The ease of use is really big for us. And then one of the other things that I'm sure we'll touch on more is us being agency and connected to 10 to 12 exchanges and market makers. Our depth of liquidity far exceeds what you can get on one exchange. And that's the beauty of the model we've put together.
All right, that's great.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, you speak of some unnamed other platforms, and I'll say I think that's the biggest. I'm a member of one of those platforms, and it's just easy on certain days to go in and out. But what you mentioned as far as withdrawals and deposits, that really hampers somebody who's beyond the novice, and of course. Being in New York City and New York State, I can't wait for the day NYDFS bends down to you guys, grants you the crown, and you're here. I'll be the first to join. So
what do you call it? The crown? Yeah, that's about right. I think I think there's 23 crowns out there. We hope to be 24. Working hard at it. My team, council, we feel like we're making good progress. And we're getting really close to that. And it's like a crown. It's kind of the stamp of approval that I think once we receive that, and we're hopeful that we get it soon, is that people will even recognize us to a different degree. And we actually move up the ladder in people's minds as well.
That's great. And you mentioned going into new states. How so that would obviously increase adoption. How has the recent volatility in the markets affected adoption and user growth?
It's you mentioned Circle, and we talked about Circle. What Circle also did was bring credibility to Voyager, and by that, people are like, okay, if Circle, which is backed by Goldman and some other big name VC funds, we're investing effectively in Circle and now in Voyager, there must be credibility. So the name started going out wider, and that spider web of recognition got bigger. So we constantly are growing our accounts every single day. We get deposits in every single day. That's growing. March quarter was our best quarter yet. We exceeded expectations, and we exceeded the research analyst who wrote about us from Benchmark. April's gotten off to a great start, exceeding March numbers. And then we got the halving coming in May. So effectively, we think volume and interest is picking up. Today alone, we see because Bitcoin is rising, we're seeing tremendous volume on our platform and adoption, and more people opening accounts and funding. We've got a lot of wind at our back, and the team's working their tails off, and I can't give them enough credit for the work that they do, because I'm the face, but they actually do the work. And they're doing a great job, and business just consistently is growing for us. So we're excited by it.
That's good. You mentioned the halving. The recent rise in prices has been parabolic at the least. Do you think that's evidence that the halving wasn't priced in, as many analysts has previously argued?
That is the greatest single debate question when it comes to Bitcoin, right? Like, was it priced in or is it not priced in? Is it priced? And then you could ask 20 people, and I guarantee it's going to be 10 and 10. I've never been one that makes a really good assessment of those things. To me, it's about customer demand, and to me, Bitcoin is all about getting, I think, Alex, you said it earlier, it's adoption. Like, how do we get more people? And the more we could bring why this matters to the world, the more we'll get adoption. And then more adoption means more price increases. And that to me is more important than, how to price in the halving, because over time, I believe Bitcoin's going to go up, and we're going to see 20,000 by sometime late this year or early 2021. I think we're going to see this increase, but it's about adoption that's going to help push the increase. It's simple, economics, right? Supply, demand. And if there's more demand, we're going to see more price increases. So I don't look at the halving as much. I think it'll help more interest in it. But I also can say that the way the market has, the equities markets and option markets have all performed is making extreme interest in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I'm having my 50-year-old friends call me up and say, how do I buy Bitcoin? Well, and that's an easy answer. It's on Voyager. But for the most part, I'm like, buy Bitcoin, forget the rest. Your entry point's Bitcoin, do a little research, learn more, and then you go in. So I think that really says a lot to where the price can go on Bitcoin.
Well, your friends are definitely friends with the right person if they're going to ask how to buy Bitcoin. I think the equity markets have made it really interesting. Backdrop to the halving coming in. It's I don't think it was exactly predicted. So we'll see where that goes. There's one interesting thing about yourself is that you are in the rare group of public crypto CEOs. And you have Novogratz, who also is on the TSX with Galaxy, as well as Voyager is. How has that been different for you as a leader, as a CEO of a capital markets financial firm in the digital space, with having that that is at your back? Because it does push other expectations on top of your plate that's already full.
It's we're excited by being on a public exchange, and we recently moved from the venture to the Canadian Securities Exchange. We're happy to be there, and the stock's traded. My employees get to see the liquidity on their options every single day. Whether that's good, bad, or otherwise, they know they have a liquid product, which I think is really important. Because again, if you go back to my history, I was at E-Trade, and one of the values that we loved about being at E-Trade when we sold our company in '99 is, we had a publicly traded currency that, as an option holder, you could see where it's at. And I think that brings a lot of credibility, but it also to the staff gives them a reason to work even harder, because they're like, I can move this. I have a way to move my wealth forward. So we're excited. I mean, we think it's a great way. We also think the transparency is really important, because we have to file audited financials, which our year end is June 30th. And we're in the process of getting started on that audit for June 30th, 2020. Mm-hmm. And we file quarterly financials. Our March financials will be out sometime in the next couple of weeks. And it's there. It's transparent. People can see that here's our customer assets. Here's what we hold. It's there. So we like it. We think it's just a great way. But it does bring a lot of extra work. There's a lot of things you need to do that. But showing customers and employees that transparency was always paramount to what we started out to do.
And also the public too, right? I mean, whether it's a bad quarter or a good quarter that you have to get on an analyst call and report, either way, it's that transparency that really brings all that much more credibility to you. There's nothing Steve and the team can't hide. It's this is the way it is, and so be it.
There's no hiding when you're a public company. Your info is out there, but we take that. We like that. We take that as a challenge to make sure it keeps us grounded in what we're doing and bring the best things to customers and so forth. And again, I think I hearken back to my time at E-Trade and having a great mentor in the name of Jarrett Lillian, who wound up being the CEO of E-Trade for a while. I was with him when he started TIR back in the way days, and he's been a great mentor because he was the CEO of a major public company and giving guidance on how to do that and the transparency. And I just lever off him. He's on our board, so he's a great resource, and it really helps me keep me on the right path to make sure we're doing the right things.
Very cool. Now, I also, last week we had our good friend John Najarian on, and co-founder of Market Rebellion, and he's launching a crypto trading room with his team. There's some sort of relationship going on there.
They are great guys. I know you guys know them well, John and Pete and Dirk, their third partner. Great guys. I've known Dirk a really long time and known John and Pete almost as long. We're honored to have them use our stuff and work with Market Rebellion and deliver the crypto offering so they could teach people in their educational rooms and products about that. It's a great marriage between the two and working together. Was at their conference back in October in Vegas and talking about crypto and Bitcoin, and we're super excited. I think it's going to launch sometime in the next 4 to 8 weeks. We're working out some of the integrations to make it work, but the beauty of that is the folks and the customers that usually use Market Rebellion for their news and education stay there, and the trades will all come through our infrastructure. So they lever off our infrastructure and get the same crypto pricing that you'd get if you went straight to the app, but you get it, through them and with the education. So we're excited by that. They're great people. Love working with them, but boy, are those two big. when Pete and John stand next to you, and I stood next to them, in between them for a picture in Vegas. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but boy, I look like I was like, from 1,000 feet high in the air. I was that ant.
Oh yeah,
they're massive.
And salt of the earth guys. I really
guys.
enjoy my friendship with them. So yeah, very cool for you on that.
We're excited by that. The other one we're really excited about is Sterling Professional Trader has written to our APIs, and as probably some people know, that was my old business at Lightspeed Financial, and they built all the crypto off of our APIs, and they're going to launch that in the next 6 to 8 weeks as well. So we don't look at, we have to own the complete customer and they have to come through our app. We have great partners like Market Rebellion and Sterling, and Roundly X is another one where you can round up and get. When we have great partners like that, we want people to continue with their experience through those guys and still use our infrastructure and get the same great crypto offering, but just do it through a different front end.
Yeah, it's all about adoption, right? Just raise
adoption
and getting easier on-ramps for people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, and I say this all the time too, is that whether it's myself or any one of the competitors in the space and the exchanges and so forth, it's incumbent upon us not to bite at each other, but it's incumbent upon us to work together to get adoption, because it's the only way we change the world moving forward, and is if we work together. And I think so far everybody's done a really good job on that. I know I speak to some of the higher ups and some of these, our competitors, and we have our old secret sauces and we keep some things to the best, obviously, but I think we're always trying to figure out how we get more adoption. I think that's the difference of this industry, I think, from many other industries.
And that's one of the real pros of the digital asset space is the cooperative environment, right? I mean, we all come from the traditional side. I'm pretty sure I will never go back there in my lifetime now that I've worked in crypto capital markets for 3 years. But it's a very distinct difference from my background, the hedge fund space, to the crypto side, because there's, we have that hierarchy, but it's not like it is in traditional finance. There's a lot of collaboration going on.
It's a must, right? It's an absolute must. And I look at it like I'm the leader of our team, but, and I'm the oldest on the Voyager team, but I'm always asking some of the younger guys, the millennials, like, how do they look at the product? How do they look at things? And how do they sell it to their friends? Because I've known the way we do it. I know how to build the market, the infrastructure, and how we should, some of the ways to go around it and about it. But these guys are the ones that are the future. They're the ones that are going to really carry this forward and really help adoption. And it's important that it's collaboration, because, it's a different mindset. I think differently as someone in my 50s versus someone in the 30s. We absolutely think differently. And it's important that we collaborate and figure out how to move the ball forward, rather than saying, no, that's not good. We don't do it that way. That's what happens in the old markets, right? We don't do it that way, and you just get brushed aside. In this market, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe we should try that. Maybe we should use this. And it's just a different mindset. I think that's what's special about Voyager in a way, because the team is completely different in our backgrounds. Although we do have a lot of athletes. It's one of the things that I like. But it's completely different in that it's a really collaborative environment.
Yeah, it's a rising tide lifts all ships at this point, because it's so early on.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer right now. It's just like, I mean, if it hasn't been done before, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, it was like when we built E-Trade in the late 90s, I got there, and one of the members of my team and I kind of spearheaded the adoption of electronic signatures on account agreements. And nobody had done that before. And there was a lot of, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's like, well, we figured out a way to do it, and became really the first online broker that adopted electronic signatures, which today is a whole business in its own right.
I think anybody actually signs their name anymore, right? How many times do we do electronic signatures on everything?
No, I mean, I just signed some documents today, and it was DocuSign, right? I mean, that's what we, or Hello Sign, and I don't want to pitch one or the other. I don't care. Whoever sends me the documents, I'll use their app. And especially if you want to send me money, I'll sign anything. But I think in the end, we did the account opening agreement online, which was state of the art, first time. And instead of sending out applications by mail and waiting for checks to come in, we were able to get them to sign and just then have them send checks. So we eliminated one of the pain points in the process.
Yeah, I remember even, 15 years ago when I was at a traditional brokerage, they were still doing everything by paper and it was just brutal. I mean, now being able to digitally sign everything and fill out everything online, I mean, to know that you guys kickstarted that, that's incredible. It's great.
It's, do you know there are countries in the world, in Asia, that make people come into the office still to sign for brokerage account openings?
In Japan, actually, they have a stamp called an incon, which is like your name in Chinese characters, and if your incon isn't on the paperwork, you can't use a regular signature. It doesn't count. It's incredible for a country such as Japan to be that backward. As far as that's concerned, anyway, is incredible.
I think it's in Hong Kong. I don't know if Hong Kong has that stamp, but I know you have to come in and sign and send the money. So the KYC is like, they know you because they've met you.
Yep. The incon too in Hong Kong.
I'm like, wow. I mean, now we have this virus, and do you really want everyone coming to the office? I had to go to the bank like 3 weeks ago to send a wire out, and the guy was behind a plastic screen. He wore gloves, and I was like, we should really be doing this for electronically, but they're like, no, your wire is over $10,000, so you have to come to the bank. And I'm like, man, you guys need to adopt crypto.
Can't wait till those days change. Yeah.
Just dumb.
It doesn't make any sense. And then it takes forever to process the wire, right? It's not instant,
He was like, okay, I'm going to enter it in the system. It's got to be approved by one of my, my superiors. Then it's got to go to the Fed. It's got to go through there. And then it'll finally get to where you want. And it might be today. It might be tomorrow. And I'm like, really? I mean, this makes no sense to me. We work in crypto world. If I want to send you some USDC tomorrow to pay a bill, there it goes. It goes instantaneously. The world's changing. And that's why the adoption matters, because we've got to get people to realize the money is theirs. It's not the banks. The money is theirs. That's the stocks you own are yours. So if you want to sell it tomorrow for dollars, you should get that money that instant. Why does it have to wait T+2 or T+3? It makes no sense to me anymore. The world is an instantaneous world where things can move instantaneous, and we sit here and we're like, hey, you'll get your money in 3 days and you should be happy with it.
Yeah. No, so true. And a quick story on monetary freedom. I just it really didn't hit me. I'm a capital markets guy, so generally, unless my retirement depends on it, I don't really care all that much about where the price of Bitcoin is. I care if people trade it. That being said, back in January, I went to buy a airplane ticket to go over to my office in London, using my bank debit card, my U.S. bank debit card, and the bank, the U.S. bank. It kept getting denied. Finally, I called them up. I said, hey, listen, I'm trying to buy an airline ticket from a name brand airline that everybody knows, with my funds. And they're like, well, you can't, we don't allow you to purchase anything outside the United States with that. I said, well, what? I said, okay, this is ridiculous. I pulled out my American Express. I bought this ticket with no problem on credit. But with my own money in my own bank, I couldn't spend it. It wasn't up for me to control how I spent the money. I found that astonishing.
Blows my mind that we can't, that banks still control our money. We don't control our money. The banks do. If they want to stop your ACH, they stop it. If they want to stop your wire, they stop it. And look, we go through the same KYC AML that banks do. We do our checks. We have third-party APIs that we run it through to make sure that people are who they are. But, the fact that you couldn't buy a plane ticket because the bank's like, we don't allow that, because it's not a domestic, it makes no sense. It's your money. You should be able to use it any which way you want. And nobody should have that control over your finances. Zero, nobody. What if you needed it to help your mother was stuck in overseas and they're like, sorry, we won't let that money go through. It makes no sense.
None at all. Same thing happened to me trying to buy Champions League tickets 2 years ago because the website was based in Italy. They're just like, nope, you can't buy it. I had to do the same thing as Alex, buy it on credit. And it's infuriating. I should be able to spend it the way I want to.
I'd love to see the stat, and I don't know the stat. How many people, because Like I still use credit card on everything and then pay my credit card bill. I'm not a big debit card or any of that user. If the bank wants to give me credit, I'll take it. I'll let them, there's no fee for it really. I'll let them take the, I'll carry my own float effectively. But, the whole millennial and younger generation is all about debit cards. I love to see what's switching and how that is actually, what the numbers are related to that moving forward. Because I think the more we move to a debit card environment, the more crypto actually makes even more sense. I can make the argument why it makes sense on credit because you don't have the credit card fees and for the pipes and all that. But in the debit card where the fees are lower, but you can move the money quicker and have guaranteed it gets there, it makes all the sense in the world, which is why we like our Circle partnership and everything to do with the USDC, because we think money will move quick.
Yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, millennial here, a lot of us barely use credit cards. We came of age during the Great Recession, and it's just not something that we do. We prefer to pay in cash wherever possible we can.
So as a millennial, I mean, the conversation I have on the other side of the curve, I've got a 25-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old son. And we're having the conversation about, hey, when you guys, when bars open up again, how do you think the bartender's going to want to get paid? Do you think they're going to want your $20 dirty dollar anymore? Or are you going to have to use Venmo, or maybe you want to use USDC and pay, how do you guys think, we come out on the other side? Because I don't think anyone wants to touch dirty dollars anymore.
I mean, I've tipped a few bartenders in my neighborhood using Venmo already prior to the pandemic, so I can't see going away from that at this point.
Steve, I got to ask you this, that you bring up your son and daughter. I mean, do they think they have the coolest dad ever, or is it too weird for them?
No, look, I mean, anyone who has kids knows one thing: dad's never cool.
Not even if he's in crypto?
No, the only way dad's cool is when, they ask for money and dad gives them money. Other than that, dad's never cool. But yeah, my kids are great kids, and they're starting to learn a little bit more about crypto. And one of the reasons, when I was doing my diligence, it's a story I like to tell, is I sat at the kitchen table with my daughter, who was probably 22 at the time, and one of her best friends. And I'm like, what do you guys know about Bitcoin? And both of them were like, oh, all our friends, all the guy friends I had were all buying Bitcoin. They said, this is great, and I'm like, okay. And then I asked my daughter, like, what do you know about it? Have you ever seen, looked at an app? Or she goes, I don't know. And, I've never looked at that. And her friend did. And I'm like, okay, now I understand it. I'm starting to put my hands around the millennial side of this and why. And it was one of the things that kind of convinced me, like, okay, if all these 22-year-olds are looking at it and starting that way, I might be older, but I could kind of guide my way into this using my years of cap markets knowledge to figure out the best way to do this. But I'm not the cool dad. Trust me, I am by far the cool dad.
I can't wait to not be the cool dad.
What are your two-part question? One is, what are your predictions for the rest of the year on the retail side? I'm not going to ask you for price. Just the market sentiment in general, and how it'll affect your business with what's going on now. Is what's going on now helping or hurting, or and what are the third and fourth quarter going to look like, you think?
Well, this type of market, every online broker, exchanges, digital asset brokers like ourselves, this is a good market for us. This is really where we make our name for ourselves. You gotta be productive for your customers, give them what they want, but it's just a growing market because of the virus and just the Fed just printing money left and right. People are starting to put some money into other assets rather than stocks, options, futures, etc. So I think that's great. Our numbers are going through the roof, accounts, revenue, so forth. I think I said earlier that, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Bitcoin price closing into back to 20,000 by the end of the year. I'm really happy with where it's gone today. We're starting to see it tread over 85, 80, 8,700. It's good signs. Give me a month ago, 6 weeks ago, March 12th, I probably was not all that ecstatic when it hit 3,800, but times have changed. I think that was a proving point. I think we now, if Bitcoin was going to be a fad or a scam or whatever any of these naysayers have to say, that was the time. It would have fallen off right then and there. Now we're at 8,700. The future's in front of us. More people are going to adopt. We're going to have more growth and more use of Bitcoin and USDC and other coins, which I think are coming over the next 6 months.
So do you think this increase in adoption and the drive higher, will it be driven mostly by retail or the institutional side?
Great question. I think it starts with the retail, and I think the institutional guys are coming in. I spoke to someone earlier today as well, and believe that institutions are starting to come in. They're quiet about it. I don't think you'll see hedge funds promote or private equity funds promote. We're all in this. They're buying in. They're investing in a lot of crypto and digital asset companies, but I think they're starting to buy some of the assets, because I think the mindset is, if it didn't fall off the cliff completely March 12th and go to zero, then there's something here, and let's start slowly putting money in. It's the same thing I say to retail investors dipping their toes, right? I'm not telling you to take your whole $100,000 portfolio and put it into crypto, but hey, put 3-5% in there, because your upside is far greater than what you'd see in some stocks. So it's a good time to enter still. So why not go that route?
It's outperformed the S&P 500 year to date.
And gold.
Not so bad. It's outperformed gold. Yeah.
it's an asset that's here to stay. And I think that was the biggest question about it. As like I said, even only 6 weeks ago when it hit 3,800, I think people would have argued, it's going away. And I think that total opposite now. I think I am so bullish on it, more than I've ever been.
Yep.
I took the risk in getting in this business, and I'm super bullish now, because I think the adoption is just happening faster than I thought. And when you get 45, 50-year-olds asking how to do it, how to buy, that, it's not the 22-year-old that's the tech guru. It's the 50-year-old who has many years of experience in the market saying, I want to put some of my money there.
The 50-year-old who may have been invested in oil to a degree as well.
Imagine if you were there last week when where they were paying you to actually take a barrel of oil.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
It was a great week to have Nigerian on the show. I'll tell you that.
Geez. Yeah, John probably had some great stuff.
Oh, he did. Spent half of it explaining the whole methodology and supply chain. Mm-hmm. Going back to that dark and dreary day in March when we had really a chaotic fallout in the markets in crypto. How did Voyager, did you guys perform well during that time? Did you guys, meet the demands of the customers, your customers that were coming in and out of things and trying to deal with the markets?
That was a really good day for us, actually. Volume-wise, net deposits from customers, everything was way up on that day. We saw more interest in people wanting to get in because they thought they were seeing lows at 4,500, 4,000, then they saw the low at 3,800. The number of accounts that came in were great. The deposits was a record day for us. And it was just one of those crazy days, but we performed, we had an all-star day. Again, it's an all-star team. Our team is fantastic. Thankfully, they keep me away from most of the systems. And so therefore that's why it works well, because you don't want the guy who doesn't know how to code sitting there trying to figure that out. I'll give them all the support in the world and all the tools they need to be successful, but keep me away from that stuff. And that's why we run well.
Very cool. In going into I was going to go and close. Ryan, you have any hard-hitting questions for him?
No, I think I've hit him hard enough.
Okay, because
these are fun. I mean, look, I love doing interviews with guys like you who are have both the millennial side and the long-term capital market side, because I learn a lot of stuff from the questions you guys ask, and I think that's one of the things that I really miss in not being around people and getting to go to lunch, and bounce ideas and hear things from people, because I try to listen to not just talk, but listen to every question and see if there's something that guides me to do something better for Voyager and how we run a business. I could sit with somebody who's running a completely different company from ours in a completely different industry and learn about their supply chain and ask questions and figure out, oh, wow, that little piece might help Voyager do our job better. And I love these things. I can't wait to get back to normal and being across tables from people and picking their brains on stuff that we could make the industry and Voyager better.
100%. And I think we're all done with virtual drinks and cocktail hours. Zoom has gotten their day in the spotlight for sure. Tell the people where can they find you? What is the, anything new that might excite them to, get them to join, or features that already have, let them know.
Yeah, well, you can go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, and you can download our app. We're only on mobiles. We don't have a desktop. We feel that the world is all going straight mobile. And then if, the desktop users, we'll get there eventually, we think, but we really believe in the mobile apps and how to grow that, grow the customers, because everybody's on the go now. Some of the things we're working on that are exciting that might launch some questions is, I kind of believe, and our team does, is that everything's fungible. We started to talk about certain things related to stocks. And I think like the day's coming, and we're working on it with our dynamic smart order router, that people can use Bitcoin or USDC to buy stocks. Like sometime in 21, we own a broker dealer. We believe that people will be able to flip from Bitcoin or a USDC coin, or maybe some other coins, to Apple stock, Tesla stock, yep. Microsoft. I think it's fungible. And I think we're working on things like that, working on margin products, loan products. We're coming out soon with our own, recurring buy. So to support a lot of the Circle customers, you could put $10 a week in and buy Bitcoin or a basket of coins. We're working on all that because we look at Voyager as the financial services company of the future. I know a lot of people say it, but unless you've lived in the true financial services company and know what it all means and how margin and shorting and baskets and robo-advisor all works, it's hard to kind of put those pieces together, but I've lived that world. And so we're working on all those things to make that happen, by the latter part of this year in 21. And then international expansion for us. I mean, we think it's on our list. We hope to be in Canada by the end of the year. It's one of our core international markets we want to hit, and probably the first one because we're public there. Therefore, we can give our public investors the ability to use our app. So those are the things we're working on. We're super excited about the future of Bitcoin and crypto. And we think we're going to be at the forefront of bringing that on an agency basis to consumers.
I think a lot of that has to do, the passion that you just exuded has to do with your experience with E-Trade, with Lightspeed. I mean, you're translating that over to the crypto world and really building a powerhouse. I've known you for some time. You've gotten a really busy calendar, so we've only met a handful of times, but I will say each and every time you've been a stand-up gentleman. I think you guys are knocking it out of the park, and truly, I wish you guys the best of the luck. And I'm waiting for New York. I'm asking you to take my money.
I can't wait. Look, I think it's as we said, New York's huge for us, and thank you for all those kind words. I think, got taught by my dad a long time ago that you're only as good as the person you are and how you treat people. And it's the culture we have at Voyager, is making sure we treat everybody with the most respect, whether you have $10 in the account or 10 million in your account. Everybody deserves the same level of respect and courtesy and openness. And that's how we try to treat all our customers and all our vendors, and make sure that that's how we operate. And it's core to who we are at Voyager. We're just trying to deliver the best possible product to all our consumers. And hopefully that includes New York sometime soon.
Hopefully.
100%, Steve. Thank you so much. You're an upstanding guy. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time, and looking forward to doing this soon, but more so having a drink soon on a rooftop somewhere.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I mean, that will be the ultimate. So thank you for having me again. I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity, and look forward to seeing you guys in person. And these virtual drinks, virtual happy hours, I've yet to participate, and I will not participate.
Don't fall for
it. I want the real thing. The real drinks. I'm not in for this drinking over the over Zoom or whatever. It doesn't work for me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
All right, you too. Hello, folks. To learn more about Voyager and their new trading app, go to investvoyager.com. Here you can learn everything you need to know to open an account and download their app from the Apple Store or from Google Play. Begin trading today. If you want to follow them on Twitter, you can find them at InvestVoyager, at InvestVoyager. If you'd like to follow Steve, their CEO, on Twitter, you can follow him at Earls15. That's at EHRLS15.